Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we're going to be giving a beginner's crash course to purple. We're going to be going over what the color does, what it's good at, what some of the play styles are, look at some prominent decks and some staples, and hopefully by the end of this video, you will know if you want to play purple or if one of the other colors is right for you. So, we're going to start with the core strategies of purple. What is it all about? What do we do in purple? What kind of decks are you going to be playing? So purple has a strong identity that's centered around using the graveyard as a secondary resource to gain advantage. It's thematically tactical and rewards calculated risks and creative resource management. So with purple, you are not ever just playing from your hand. You are almost always tapping the trash as a secondary resource, finding a way to use it either to play bodies back, to get more value, to delete things, to digivolve. You are just always interacting with the trash and trying to do things with it. And because of that, it's often considered high skill ceiling and strong and experienced hands, but punishing the misplay. A lot of games with purple, you can be really dominating, and then you misplay a little bit. It makes a crack in your board, and then you get absolutely blown out. So you need to know what your lines are and be really capable at maximizing the potential of a purple deck. So purple is also uniquely positioned as the only color that really utilizes the trash, the graveyard. Not a lot of other colors do this. They do have access to the scrambles, which lets you put a card from trash back on top of your deck and then draw it for the turn. But purple really plays things from the trash and puts things there purposefully rather than just losing them as a consequence to things happening in the game. Its strengths lie in recursion, flexible removal, memory manipulation, and constant offensive pressure through the trash, but its weaknesses stem from fragile setups, reliance on combos, and potential inconsistencies. You're going to be playing things from the trash. You're going to be removing things because you do that. You're going to be gaining memory back and asserting offensive pressure. But the trade-off is that because we're so reliant on the trash, sometimes your setups are fragile. You're reliant on combos that need lots of pieces, and that lots of pieces means that things can be inconsistent. If you don't get the right pieces in trash, you might not be able to combo off. You might not actually be able to play bodies back to gain memory and to delete things from the trash because you don't have the right pieces where they need to be. You don't have the right things on the board to gain as much memory as you could. So it's got pros and cons. It's got some prominent strategies, including recursion, self-deletion, discard, mill, and memory gain through trash effects. So we're going to look at some of those prominent strategies in just a second. I do want to highlight our card of choice here on the right. I've chosen Digimon from BT21. I think it embodies a lot of what purple is all about. So on play, you trash a card with Guilmon, Growlmon, Gallantmon, and Recursion in your hand, or the hero trick from your hand to draw two. So that embodies the idea of throwing things away to get some value. You're going to draw cards by discarding. And then it does have an inheritable that says on deletion, gain a memory. So if this card is in a stack and you lose this stack, you're going to gain a memory, which promotes the idea that your stack probably wants to position itself in a way where you get value from it, and then it goes to the trash via deletion. So kind of embodying the purple strategies of gaining memory back, sacrificing your bodies to get value somewhere, and discarding cards, putting more things in the trash. So we're going to take a look at discard first as a strategy. It aims to place specific cards in the trash to gain benefit rather than sending many cards to the trash. Some of the other strategies we have here just want to put lots and lots of things in the trash. Discard says, no, I want specific pieces in the trash. Cards can reward you for discarding them or reward you based on the number of cards in hand. Some cards do things specifically when they are trashed. Other cards say if you have X amount of cards in your hand, you get to do this. In rare cases, decks may aim to discard cards from the opponent's hand and reward you from doing so. I'm looking at you, Barbamon players, Neo Devimon, some of the Devimon line in general, Dan Devimon, will try and rip cards from the opponent's hand. Not a lot of decks do it, but it is worth mentioning that it does exist. Some benefits of discarding can include memory gain, removal, or recursion to reward a player for losing resources. So in the long run, you are pitching cards away. You are losing resource from your hand in order to gain resource somewhere else via memory gain, or by removing things from the opponent's board, denying them resource. Its strengths lie in fast setup by sending specific cards to trash and access to discarded cards through other effects. You are getting a little bit of speed by putting things in the trash. The trade-off can be that you, for example, gain memory, which speeds up your deck. Some weaknesses stem from running out of hand resources, especially after a stack has been answered. So if you pitch a bunch of cards away from your hand to meet the requirements of a card or to gain memory by discarding, etc., you've obviously gone down in hand size. And then if the opponent deletes the body that you just spent a bunch of resources putting on the board, now you're in a position where you don't have as many cards in your hand as your opponent. Your resources are in the trash. And while purple does use things in the trash, you still need to have some board presence to make use of the resources that you put in the trash. And in that aspect, you're going to be behind what the opponent is doing. So this often requires a player to have enough foresight to think about what cards should be kept in hand and what can be discarded to generate resource. You don't want to be in a situation where you keep a bunch of maximizing cards in your hand, some level 7, some removal, and then your level 6 gets removed. And then what do you have? You don't have a level 3 to put in raising. You don't have a level 4 maybe to evo on the level 3 you had in raising. So you need to be thinking about what could happen in the game, what's likely to happen, and make sure that the cards that you keep in your hand are relevant to the lines that you want to take. So to kind of illustrate discard as a strategy, Heavy Metal Dramon from EX7, when Digivolving, you trash 2 cards in your hand. So there's your discarding. Then you're going to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with as much or less DP as this Digimon. So the trade-off we have here is you're pitching cards away, and then you're deleting something smaller than 13k or higher if you have DP boosts. At the end of your turn, you get to play a card with any of those traits and a play cost of 8 or less from your trash without paying the cost. Pretty cool, embodying the purple aspect of playing things back from the trash. But for each card in your hand, you remove one from this effect's play cost maximum. So this is trying to reward you for having as few cards in your hand as possible by letting you bring back up to a play cost 8 or less Digimon from the trash. So really embodying that strategy of throw cards away, but I'm going to give you resource for it and propel your game strategy forward. Next, we're going to take a look at mill as a strategy. So I see a lot of videos about mill where nobody even bothers to explain what mill is. So mill is sending cards from the top of the deck to trash. That's it. So when somebody says, I'm going to mill you for 4 cards, they're saying you are sending 4 cards from the top of your deck to the trash. Mill as a strategy wants to send as many cards as possible from the top of the deck to the trash in order to generate resources. And cards can be reward players when milled or when other cards are milled. So something on the board might say you do something when a card is milled, or cards might say when I am milled, you do something. So some cards have trash thresholds that give additional value when a certain number of cards are in trash. So you might have something on the board that cares about the number of cards you have milled because it rewards you for having more cards in trash. Gallantmon Crimson Mode Ace is a great example of this. It's going to trash cards from the opponent's security based on the number of cards in both players' trashes. So it's rewarding you for milling and having cards in the trash. Strategies can include milling your own deck or milling the opponent's deck. So mill is not exclusive to trying to deck the opponent out. You can try and remove your own cards from your deck to build resource in the trash and to be rewarded for milling those cards. And the benefits of mill can include extra damage, cost reduction, memory gain, and removal, all things that are relevant in the Beelzemon deck that we'll be looking at on the right there. And some of the strengths lie in its speed and explosive plays. Decks are often rewarded for just playing the game rather than answering a board state. You're often not going for specific plays until you have enough cards in the trash, which means you're just getting rewarded for milling cards, which usually happens just by digivolving up the line. So you're really just kind of playing the game up until you have a certain number of cards in trash, and then you're looking to hit a specific combo or close out the game in a specific way. Some of the weaknesses stem from inconsistencies and potentially decking yourself out. If you don't hit the right pieces in trash, you might just not be able to do things. If you don't hit enough mill cards, you might have a bunch of effects turned off because you don't have enough cards in trash. And then if you mill too aggressively, if you go too fast and you don't have your finishers in hand, you can deck yourself out before you actually get to win the game. So our poster child of mill over here beat ST14 Beelzemon. Beelzemon as a whole is just the mill guy. When digivolving, you trash the top 4 cards of your deck. All turns, once per turn, when a card is trashed from your deck, you gain a memory for every 10 cards in your trash. So there's our aspect of gaining resource for trashing cards. The more cards you have in trash, the more memory you're going to gain back from this. And then your turn, once per turn, when a card is trashed from your deck, you gain security attack +1. So there's that explosiveness. You evo into this, probably you're paying the full 4 if you don't have a training set up. You're going to mill cards, you're going to get memory back, and then you're going to hit somebody for 2 checks. And normally when you evo into this, you're probably getting 2 memory back at least. So you're evoing into this for 2, really. And that in itself is really great value, and it is really aggressive, hitting somebody for 2 checks off of 1 stack. So that is mill. Next, we're going to look at recursion as a strategy. I know that this is present in a lot of purple strategies as a sub-theme or benefit, but recursion can also be the focal point of some decks. It aims to set up cards in the trash and then consistently recur bodies. So instead of just being like, you play a card and it does something, and then as a little side benefit, it either puts a card back in your hand or plays a Digimon back to the board, recursion decks aim to, with most of their cards, be playing things back from the trash and do it consistently. So often cards include effects that reward the player for playing other Digimon or have high impact on play abilities. So you'll usually see a bunch of stacks that aim to draw cards and gain memory when a Digimon is played by effects, so the player can keep digivolving and get more bodies on board. A really good example of this, the Dark Animal engine. You're going to cram cards that say when a Digimon is played by an effect, gain a memory into that deck, so that when you play your level 5 that plays you a level 3 back, you're going to gain 2 memory off the play, and then you're going to be able to evo into a level 6 that probably also plays you a body. You're going to draw cards off your inheritables, and then every turn you're going to be trying to play bodies, evo on the other bodies you play, gain more memory back, and extend your plays out. So decks also seek extra value through self-deletion. One of my favorite cards in the deck, Alice McCoy. You can delete a Digimon when one of your Digimon would evo from level 5 to level 6 to reduce the Digivolution cost by 3. So if you play that level 3 off the level 5, you can then delete the level 3 to get into a level 6 for free. You get another body back, and then you start evoing on that body to play more bodies and get more value. So the recursion strategy just aims to go wide, build on itself, and get lots of value through doing that. Its strengths are going to lie in explosive turns, resilience to removal, and reusable card effects. You might just see you've been sitting in the back, you've been setting up, you're at 1 security, you promote, you hit the combo, and now you're 4 bodies wide, you have 3 blockers. If they remove one of your bodies, you still got 3 more, and then you're going to be able to reuse card effects. There's lots of cards that let you pitch a body, grab a card back, or if they delete one of your Digimon, you might just be able to play it back and re-evo into it. Its weaknesses do stem from trash setup, piece resilience, and low removal. The trash setup is rough. If you don't get that extra level 3 in trash, most recursion decks are stunted quite a bit. Piece reliance is sometimes you need the specific level 6 for the situation, or you need you want to hit your EX5 Anubismon and you just don't hit it. That can kill you sometimes. And low removal, to be honest, it does lack really, really, really badly in level 6 removal most of the time. It can hit level 5s and lowers, but we do struggle quite a bit with level 6s. It's stronger when played reactively and can feel underpowered without setup or targets in the trash. We did talk about when you're missing your level 3, you might have a hard time playing reactively. What I mean by that is if you just promote out your stack and you play, 2 bodies off the EX5 remove Anubismon, the opponent might just promote next turn, evo into a level 6 that deletes your Anubismon, and then your one of Anubismon is in the trash, and you got to figure out how to get it back in your hand so that you can actually enact your game plan. So you might need to set up, you might need to chill a little bit, play it slow, let the opponent put their cards on the table, and then you bump out and you start going really, really wide in response to that. So prominent decks in purple right now, I chose a couple of decks that have been quite relevant in the meta. Some of them might not be anymore, but I think they will speak for most of us purple players in saying that they kind of summarize nicely what purple does. So right now, BT21 Megidramon, kind of the poster child of purple in the meta, has security attack +1, and if attack delete all Digimon, that is the very, very red part of the effect. On deletion, you can play a play cost 3 or lower Digimon card with a Guilmon or Groundmon in its name from your trash without paying the cost. For every 10 cards total in both players' trash, you add to this effect play cost maximum. So Megidramon is a deck that wants to put lots of cards in trash. It's going to nuke the board, delete all the Digimon, and then you're going to float back a body. Based on the number of cards in both players' trashes, you can play a bigger body back, so it rewards you for having lots of cards in the trash. It's a mill deck, kind of, sort of. It can be played discard, but the idea is you want lots of cards in trash to float bodies back, a recursion type of thing. We have Duskmon from BT18. This did get hit on the ban restricted list, not this card specifically, but the purple hybrid strategy. This was a mill-based deck where you'd put lots of cards in trash and you'd recur the Duskmon piece. You'd play Tamers back, and you'd just be constantly hitting the opponent while floating a body back over and over until you could close out the game with something that cared about the number of cards in your trash. We have Leviamon X Antibody. Leviamon just shows up in every meta. There's always a way to play it. It's a devastating card. When an effect plays an opponent's Digimon or Tamer, one of your Leviamon or Digimon's X Antibody and their sources can evo into this card without paying the cost. So if the opponent just plays something, you get to evo into this from the trash as long as you're set up properly. Has security attack +2, so it's swinging for 3 checks at 14k. And then when Digivolving, it deletes a bunch of bodies on the board. So a trash-reliant deck that punishes the opponent for playing things. And then we do have Fenrir Lugamon Takamikazuchi, a deck that wanted to play bodies out from the trash, DNA into this, and then just punish the opponent for existing, basically. Staples and relevant cards, I did want to add this section, and I do want to hit you with a preface, a caveat, if you will. These are not staples that fit in every single purple deck. These are what I consider to be staples because every time I build a purple deck, I'm reaching for at least one of these cards. They find their way into most of the purple decks I'm playing, and quite frankly, I don't think you would be mistaken to grab some of these cards if you're going to start your deck building journey in purple and start playing some decks and see what you like. So, first card, Analog Youth from EX1. It's going to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add a Digimon among them to your hand. The rest go to trash. And when one of your level 5 or higher Digimon with Digivolution cards is deleted, you can suspend this Tamer to gain a memory and hatch a Digi-Egg to an empty space in your breeding area. Why is this good with purple? It puts cards in the trash. It gets you a card in hand. And then when you lose a level 5, because let's not forget that we have a lot of self-deletion effects in purple, you get a memory and you get to hatch an egg. That's just gas. It's momentum. And it synergizes really well with filling the trash for purple strategies. I'm going to recommend, obviously, ST16 Matashita. This is my memory setter of choice in most purple decks. If you have 2 or fewer memory, it sets you to 3, and when an effect trashes a card in your hand, by suspending this Tamer, you gain a memory. If you're playing any purple deck that discards cards, you want to be playing Matashita. Alice McCoy, I know this is not a meta card. This doesn't find its way into 99% of decks, but if you are playing bodies from the trash with a level 5, like the Cerberusmon engine, or any of the plethora, there's a bunch of level 5 purple Digimon that do it now. I think this is a really, really fun card to be playing. You can just sack off that level 3 to get into a level 6, and depending on what you're playing against, that can matter quite a bit. You might not want to Evo into the level 6 and pass. You might want to Evo into the level 6 and keep turn, and Alice is a good way to do that. Calling from the Darkness, let's be honest, it is restricted to 1, but most decks are going to try and be recurring pieces. You're going to get your stack answered, and you're going to want to get your pieces back. Calling from the Darkness is a great way to do that. Just grabs you 2 pieces back from the trash as long as you delete a Digimon, and if you don't have any Digimon on the board, you can still use this option and just grab 2 pieces back for free. Lastly, EX5 Anubismon. In any deck where I need a complementary level 6 Digimon, a lot of the time I'm reaching for EX5 Anubis. You get a trash 3 cards from your hand, then play a purple Digimon card from your trash with the cost reduced by up to 6, and then when an effect plays one of your Digimon, you delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. If this does not delete, you draw 1. Even in decks that don't care heavily about recursion, this can be a really powerful threat. It is just putting bodies back on the board each turn as long as you're discarding cards away. And quite frankly, if you're just getting into the game and you're playing purple at a relatively new level, this can be pretty game-changing for you, depending on what kind of people you're playing against. So that is my crash course on purple. Hopefully you got something out of this video. If you're new to the game, send this to your friends who are new to the game, who might be thinking about playing purple. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Thank you to our channel members for supporting this channel. It's people like Langlong, Big Z11, Coffee Deus, and DigiDane who make videos like this possible.